What terrifying secret could force a powerful figure to confess in front of the entire nation? In a chilling twist, a high-ranking official has finally admitted to his sinister role in Menglong's horrifying death, exposing a dark truth that leaves the world in shock. Really happened behind the closed doors of power? And why was Yu silenced? Let's join Red Carpet Reveal to uncover the truth right now. What terrifying truth could force a man at the pinnacle of power to finally break down and confess? That was the question that shook the nation as a high-ranking official, once untouchable, stood trembling before the court and revealed his chilling role in the horrifying death of beloved star Yu Menglong. For years, whispers of conspiracy and cover-ups swirled around Yu's tragic passing. Fans wept. Families demanded answers. Journalists hinted at corruption. But nothing concrete ever broke through the fortress of silence. Now, with one explosive confession, the walls began to crumble, exposing a darkness more sinister than anyone dared to believe. Yu Menglong's life had been a dream lived under the brightest spotlight. His rise in the entertainment industry was meteoric. For his gentle demeanor and breathtaking performances, he was adored by fans across Asia. His dramas pulled in record-breaking ratings. His music trended endlessly. And his image was one of sincerity, talent, and promise. Even at the height of his fame, those closest to him later recalled moments of unease, a glance over his shoulder, cryptic words about being watched, an unshakable feeling that he was carrying a heavy burden. When news of his sudden death first broke, shock was absolute. But the explanation, that stress and exhaustion had led to sudden cardiac failure, never sat right with those who loved him. The autopsy, rushed and sanitized, raised more questions than it answered. Bruises on his arms and torso were dismissed as minor training injuries. Inconsistencies in the timeline were ignored. Witnesses contradicted each other but were never pressed. Within days, the case was declared closed. To the public, it looked like a cover-up. Fans organized online, dissecting every detail. Journalists probed quietly, only to run into threats and dead ends. Yu's family, especially his mother, refused to accept the official narrative. Standing in front of cameras with her son's portrait clutched tightly in her hands, she vowed to fight until the truth emerged. He would never leave us this way, she said through tears. Something was done to him. The battle for justice dragged on for years. Lower courts dismissed appeals. Prosecutors refused to reopen the case. Evidence mysteriously vanished. Yet the people did not stop pushing. Vigils were held on anniversaries. Fans filled social media with justice for Yu. And international organizations began to question why such a high-profile case was being buried. Eventually, pressure mounted to the point that it could no longer be ignored. The Supreme Court agreed to hear the case. And suddenly the nation held its breath. The courtroom sessions became national spectacles, broadcast live, dissected on every channel. Crowds thronged outside with banners, chanting Yu's name, lighting candles, and demanding truth. Inside, prosecutors laid out a narrative of natural death, trying to maintain the fragile facade. But defense lawyers for Yu's family produced fragments, leaked documents, testimony from whistleblowers, and inconsistencies too glaring to overlook. Then came the moment that changed everything. A high-ranking official, long rumored to have ties to the entertainment industry and the case itself, was called to the stand. He had denied involvement for years, dismissing allegations as slander. Yet under the weight of cross-examination and with the eyes of the world fixed on him, his mask cracked. His hands shook as he swore to tell the truth. His voice faltered as he began to speak. At first, his words were vague, evasive. He admitted to administrative oversights in communication. But the prosecutors pressed harder. The defense confronted him with leaked memos bearing his signature. Finally, he broke. "Yes," he said, his voice trembling. "I ordered reports to be suppressed. I told the doctors to rewrite their findings. Pressured investigators to close the case. I did it because I was told Yu Menglong knew something that could never be allowed to come to light." The courtroom erupted. Gasps filled the chamber. Reporters scrambled to record every word, and family members clutched each other in anguish. The judge pounded his gavel for order. But the noise would not be contained. This was the confession the world had been waiting for. It was more horrifying than anyone had expected. The official's admission was not just about negligence. It was about deliberate suppression of the truth. He described meetings behind closed doors where you was labeled a risk. He admitted that you had discovered financial irregularities, millions siphoned through shell corporations, money laundering, exploitation of young artists. Planning to speak, the official confessed. He wanted to expose it all. And those above me were terrified. Ordered that he be silenced. The words chilled everyone present. It was no longer a matter of speculation. The veil had been lifted. Behind it lay a sinister machinery of corruption and betrayal. Menglong's death was not an accident. Tragedy of exhaustion. But a calculated act of suppression. The betrayal cut deepest because it came from within, from the very people he trusted most. As the testimony spilled out, the room transformed into a theater of grief and rage. Some spectators sobbed uncontrollably. Shouted in anger, demanding immediate arrests. Reporters typed furiously. Their headlines already taking shape. High-ranking official confesses to role in Menglong's death. Outside, the crowd swelled even larger, their chants shaking the very walls of the courthouse. Social media exploded with fury. Hashtags like confession shock and Menglong truth trending globally within minutes. The official continued, his voice heavy with dread. I was afraid. He admitted. We all were. No one dared to oppose the orders. I told myself I was just doing my duty. That it was bigger than me. But I knew. We were burying the truth. His words painted a portrait of a system rotten at its core. Fear and power silenced even those who once believed themselves untouchable. The revelations did not stop there. The official hinted at names, executives, politicians, even law enforcement, who were part of the conspiracy. Though he did not name them outright. Testimony was enough to confirm what many suspected. This was not the act of a lone individual, but of an entire network desperate to protect itself. Implications were staggering. If true, Menglong's death was not just a scandal but the tip of an iceberg that threatened to sink the nation's trust in its institutions. By the end of the session, the courtroom was in turmoil. The judge adjourned proceedings, his gavel echoing like thunder. The official was escorted out under heavy guard, his head bowed, his career and freedom shattered. Outside, roared louder than ever. Their grief transformed into fury, their sorrow into determination. Confession had confirmed their darkest fears, but it had also given them fuel. The truth was finally emerging, and they would not stop until every last secret was uncovered. Of this unfolding tragedy closes with a nation on edge. A high-ranking official has confessed to his role in silencing Menglong, admitting that he suppressed evidence, pressured investigators, and bowed to orders from above. His chilling words have cracked open a door that can never again be closed. But his confession, as shocking as it was, only the beginning. For what he revealed next would expose not just a crime, but the very sinister motive that drove Menglong to his death, and it would shake the foundations of power to their core. The courtroom had barely absorbed the weight of the official's confession when the next revelation sent tremors through every corner of the nation. If part one of his testimony had confirmed what many had suspected, that Menglong's death was no accident, then tore open the very heart of the darkness behind it all. The high-ranking official, pale and trembling, spoke of the motive, the machinery, and the men who had orchestrated the silencing of one of the country's brightest stars. Under relentless questioning, the official finally whispered what everyone feared. Long, he had proof. He found documents linking the entertainment industry's stolen money to political elites. He was preparing to go public. He told people he would not stay silent. His files had been revealed. Powerful men would have fallen. They decided it was him, or them. The gallery erupted into chaos. Gasps, sobs, and shouts collided in a storm of outrage. The judge slammed his gavel again and again. But the sound was drowned out by the roar of anger in the courtroom. Journalists spilled from their seats, phones raised, racing to send headlines that would circle the globe within minutes. Outside, the crowd swelled even larger. Chants growing fiercer, echoing through the city streets, "Justice for you! Justice for you!" The prosecutor pressed for details, and the official complied, his voice cracking as he recounted the secret meetings where Yu's fate was sealed. Executives had called him reliability, memos, now entered into evidence, labeled him an urgent risk factor. In one killing phrase was underlined 3 times, containment necessary. It was not the language of protection. It was the language of execution. Horrifying revelation came when the official described the night of Yu's final hours. They surrounded him, he said. As vacant as though reliving it. 11 men, waiting, watching. He pleaded with them. He begged. And then he whispered his last words, "It was them, the ones I trusted." The words hung heavy in the courtroom, vibrating like thunder. People wept openly, clutching each other as if bracing against an earthquake. Yu's mother collapsed into sobs, surrounded by family and supporters. The entire chamber was engulfed in grief and rage, the humanity of the moment overwhelming the solemnity of law. From that point forward, the trial was no longer just a legal proceeding. It became a reckoning. Evidence emerged in wave after wave, shredded contracts pieced back together, offshore bank accounts exposed, messages decrypted to reveal orders of intimidation and silencing. Witnesses who had long remained in the shadows stepped forward, emboldened by the official's confession. One former employee, voice trembling, cried, "We knew he was in danger. He said he wanted to hold a press conference. We begged him not to, but he said, 'Don't speak, who will?'" The testimony transformed Yu from victim to hero. A man who had chosen courage over silence, truth over safety. His death, portrayed as weakness, was now immortalized as defiance. The fallout was seismic. The high-ranking official who confessed was sentenced to decades in prison, but his words dragged down others with him. Executives at Yu's management company were arrested and charged. Politicians, once untouchable, resigned in disgrace as their names appeared in leaked documents. Even members of law enforcement faced indictments for obstructing justice. It was as though a rotten empire, long protected by fear, was finally collapsing under the weight of truth. Globally, the shock was immense. News outlets from New York to London to Tokyo plastered Yu's face on their front pages. CNN called it a political earthquake disguised as a celebrity scandal. The BBC labeled it the death that shook an empire. National human rights organizations condemned the conspiracy, demanding reform not only in entertainment but in governance. Yu Menglong had become more than an actor, more than a singer. He had become a symbol. Fans transformed grief into movement. Hashtags like "Never Silenced" and "Truth for You" trended worldwide. Vigils spread across cities, candles spelling his name in public squares. In Seoul, Tokyo, and Los Angeles, thousands sang his songs through tears, their voices rising into the night as though carrying his memory skyward. Murals of his face appeared on walls, painted by artists who never knew him but felt the power of his story. Whisper, "It was them, the ones I trusted," was printed on banners, etched into memorials, repeated in speeches and protests. At home, reforms began to take shape. Lawmakers, under immense pressure, introduced bills to regulate contracts, ensure independent oversight of investigations, and punish coercive practices. Universities taught his case in ethics courses, while documentaries aired globally, dissecting every detail of the scandal. Yu Menglong's legacy was now cemented not just in entertainment, but in history. And yet, amid the victories, he endured. His mother, in a heart-wrenching statement, said, "They thought they silenced him, but his whisper is louder than their lies." Her words went viral, shared millions of times, a testament to the power of a mother's love and the resilience of truth. Final session. As the gavel fell and the case was declared closed, his words echoed the sentiment of millions. This court recognizes that while justice has been served, no sentence can undo the loss of Yu Menglong. But through truth, his voice will endure. The crowd outside erupted in both tears and cheers. They had fought for years, demanded truth when the system tried to bury it. And now they stood victorious, not because the pain was gone, because the truth had triumphed. And so, Yu Menglong's story closes not with silence but with a roar. The chilling confession of a high-ranking official unveiled the sinister machinery behind his death, but it also ignited a revolution. Courage, his defiance, and his final whisper have become immortal. He is no longer just a star lost too soon, he is the voice of justice, the beacon of truth, and the reminder that no power, no matter how high, can silence the human spirit forever. Yu Menglong's death was not just a tragedy, it was a mirror held up to power. The chilling confession of a high-ranking official has exposed the sinister machinery that silenced him. But it has also ensured that his voice can never be buried again. His whisper, once frail and fading, now thunders across nations as a call for justice, reform, and remembrance. Stay with Red Carpet Revealed as we continue to uncover the scandals hidden in the shadows, the secrets the powerful try to erase, truths that demand to be heard. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below, because together, we keep Menglong's story alive.